Hey everyone, and welcome to the Hemp Horticulture series. Today, we'll be showing you how to regenerate hemp. Regenerating is a technique of bringing a plant back to the vegetative stage of growth after it's already flowered and has been harvested. This technique takes advantage of a couple of unique traits to the plant to do this, and when done successfully, allows for a new, extremely fast-growing plant with almost no additional work needed. This works because of how photoperiod plants work, and unless you're growing an autoflowering strain from a seed, your plant is a photoperiod plant. So by giving a harvested plant over 12 hours of sunlight, it tricks the plant back into the vegetative stage. And while by the end of the flowering stage, all stem and leaf growth has completely stopped, by putting the plant back into the vegetative stage, it not only triggers the plant to grow new stems and leaves again, but due to the stress of reverting back to the vegetative stage, the plant will actually explode with more vigorous growth of leaves and branches, as well as produce more nodes and bud sites, which is a technique in itself known as monster cropping. But where will the new stems and leaves come from if the entire plant has already been harvested with all the top stems cut? Well, as long as you leave a couple of small buds behind, the new growth will actually all branch out from these bud sites, with the sugar leaves actually forming new stems. And because of how much growth actually comes from these buds, there's a lot of guidelines you can follow to ensure that your regenerated plant grows properly. So first, the basics. The only thing that needs to be done to regenerate a plant is to leave a few buds on the plant after harvest, and then give it over 12 hours of light a day so that the plant reverts back to the vegetative stage. If you're getting a lot of hours of sunlight outdoors, like in the summer months, then it could be as easy as just placing the harvested plant outside, or if regenerating indoors, then switch to a 18/6 or 24-hour light cycle. If trying to regenerate the plant outdoors with less than 12 hours of sunlight a day, I found that a really small amount of light, such as this 5-watt USB LED light, shining on the plant during the nighttime is enough to trick it as well. You'll also want to start giving the soil extra nitrogen right away, as this is exactly what the plant will need to start growing new stems and leaves. This is doubly important because either way, if you are using a bloom fertilizer or if you flush your plant before harvest, there will be little to no nitrogen in the soil to promote the new growth. When giving the extra nutrients though, be sure not to overwater the plant. Oftentimes, watering just once is good enough for the first week or two of trying to regenerate, as while the root system might be in place, there's still nowhere for the water to go, as most of the original plant has been harvested. And now, it's time to play the waiting game, as this could take as long as 2 weeks to start seeing any signs of new growth coming from the plant. But when it does, it'll explode, because the plant doesn't need to spend any time building a root system again. Here we have 2 examples of regenerated plant candidates, and while the one on the right seems like it'd be more effective with a lot of buds left over and a better intact stem structure, as only half of the plant was harvested, the one on the left is actually a much better because the buds are centralized on the main stalk, so that when the new growth develops, it'll all come from the same spot on the main stem, creating an even growth that's weight is well supported by the main stem. The other regenerated plant, on the other hand, has a lot of problems because there's actually too much of the original stem system in place with too many buds left spread throughout. And from my experience, the plant can only create so much new growth when it first starts to revert back to the vegetative stage, So when the plant finally starts to regenerate, the new growth will focus on just a few of the small stems, creating an uneven growth that puts too much stress on the few side stems which the new growth decides to grow on. So when harvesting a plant with regeneration in mind, feel free to harvest almost everything and just leave a few popcorn buds along with the main stalk. Also, because the new stems are now going to all come from the same area, training techniques that increases yields won't be necessary, as the plant will naturally start growing multiple top stems around the same height. And if any start growing taller than the others, low stress training can be used to keep an even canopy. What will be needed though is defoliation, early and often, as the explosive growth from one central stalk will cause a ton of leaves to overlap each other in a small area, creating a perfect breeding ground for bugs, mold, and mildew if left alone. Finally, for those wondering the obvious question, yes, you can regenerate a regenerated plant with the same results each time. Here, this is actually the third time I've regenerated this plant, and as long as you follow the same procedure after harvest, it'll regenerate the same every time. You can even clone a stem from a regenerated plant as well. So if there's a strain you really like, but forgot to take a clone before harvesting, you can both regenerate it to harvest again and clone the regenerated plant to keep the strain going on and on. And that's it. Like the content? Then be sure to check out our beginner's guide to creating CBD products from scratch, available at Amazon in print and digital, with links in the description below. You can also find us at hempinapot.com.